as we know, Marco Rubio was in India the last few days, and then he went to Armenia. He's going to land in Armenia tomorrow, actually. So we'll find out more about the public discussions that they'll have there. But there's 2 points here that I want to mention and how it would relate to the war. And people can, I'd like to see what Jeffrey thinks and Sketch thinks, and maybe we can, and Armin thinks, we can brainstorm. There is a chance of an increased Russian influence in the region because of these 2 points. Number one, Armenia, since 2022, backed away from Russian weapons deals, and to the point that their main arms supplier has been India in 2025. They signed a $1.5 billion defense contract between Armenia and India. However, Armenia is about to have an election on June 7th. And there is a big chance that the new prime minister is going to be extremely pro-Russia. So, and on June 7th, we may have a significantly increased influence of Russia in the region. So I just wanted to see how you think this could possibly affect the war. And I would think that if there are strikes, it would be better if it happens before June 7th, the Armenian elections.
Okay, I'll put a 2 in the chat. Can Jeffrey and Sketch talk on this? Because I'm actually looking this news. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I didn't even know that he's there. I'm going to put a 2 in the chat, but I'll go after other people.
Okay, Sketch, come on up.
I think that everything to do with India, and maybe also this has to do with economic fury. We talked about this before. India was kind of like in there with the shadow fleet, and the shadow fleet is related to Russia, China, and Iran, right? So if they are trying to curtail the influence of Russia and China into Iran and out of Iran, this would be very important, right? They would have to have meetings saying, hey, you can't have this shadow fleet stuff going on. I don't know how much this goes into the Azerbaijan stuff, but I would assume that anything that Marco Rubio is doing in India would be closely related to economic fury and, you know, curtailing the influence and the economic power of the shadow fleet, just basically getting rid of that. That would be my comment on that.
Yeah, thank you, Sketch. I'm trying to see how an increased Russian influence would affect the war. And would it be another deterrent for strikes, or how it would affect the region in general? Because that's very highly likely to happen, because a big part of society wants to go back to pro-Russian relations, even though Armenia has been moved away from that in the last 5-6 years. So.
Okay, next to come up and respond is Jeffrey, and I am out for the day. So Danny, I'm handing over the knives. Bye, everybody.
Bye, BT. See you soon.
Bye, BT. Happy Memorial Day. So yeah, that's a very important point you brought up, Nari. So where's it kind of shake out? So I mean, you have Secretary of State Rubio. He's heading to. I'm gonna butcher this, so Nari, please don't strangle me. Yerevan? How do you say that?
Yeah, he's in Yerevan.
Yerevan, thank God. Thank you. So he's in Yerevan. It's very much tied to fast tracking the TRIPP corridor, so the Trans-Caspian, India, Middle East, Europe alternative route that kind of runs along the southern Armenian-Iran border. Tehran, or the mullah regime remnants, are very much agitated with that because the project cuts them out of regional trade and energy flows. And that move is very much designed to further economically choke off the mullah regime from any resources it can use to either try to reconstitute its capability and or purchase equipment and or pay for mercenaries to repress Iranian people. Here's kind of the clean breakdown, at least as I see, with regards to the impact on the mullah regime remnants, as well as impact on U.S.-Israeli operations vis-a-vis the Gulf and our strategic posture. So impact on the mullah regime remnants, under Motaba and the IRGC douche canoes. So it's very much a signal regarding major encirclement. Armenia, as Nari is very apt to point out, has been, it's not the mullah regime's last semi-friendly neighbor. It's just a bordering nation that the mullah regime misuses because of the issue regarding border security, right? So they share a 40-plus kilometer border. There's heavy insecurity flows that go in between and out of them. We actually talked about that in the beginning parts of Operation Epic Fury, and in the latter parts, right? Remember, we were talking about truck stuff coming in and out of there. It has some historical ties. So Secretary of State Rubio showing up in Yerevan, I hope I did that right, is very much kind of like a high-level degradation that screams that it's pivoting to the West. I'm going to get to the point you brought up regarding domestic politics in a minute. And it directly undercuts the mullah regime's claim that the resistance axis still has some breathing room. From an economic choke point, the TRIPP corridor very much gives Europe and India an overhand loop that bypasses the mullah regime entirely. Regime remnants lose energy on energy transit, and they kind of get further isolated from during the pause attempt at reconstituting stuff. Proxy ripple effect. So there's going to be some issues here. It very much weakens the regime remnants' ability to use Armenia as a quiet backdoor for sanctions evasion and proxy logistics. We kind of talked about that previously. And it very much is a psychological hit because it comes right as the 60-day MOU talks are stalling. It reminds the remnants that they're getting squeezed from both the Gulf and the Caucasus. In other words, this is very much us tightening the economic stranglehold on the mullah regime to choke and starve them of any resources they could use to pursue terrorism, reconstitute their capability, and most importantly, from a moral perspective, purchase equipment and personnel to repress and punish the Iranian people. Impact on U.S. and Israeli operations. So it definitely diversifies the pressure map that we have. So we're no longer 100% reliant on Gulf state bases. We talked about this before. Armenia very much opens up a northern flank for intel sharing, drone overwatch, kind of potential logistic hubs, complements the Arrow 3 and THAAD networks we've talked about in a couple of past days. TRIPP is a force multiplier, so it's multiplying the secure corridor means safer energy flows that don't depend on the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. naval posture in the Gulf can stay defensive, stabilizing, or at least maintaining. They're not drawing back, they're just maintaining, right? While Israel keeps its forward footprint without logistical overstretch. Intel and deconfliction, so it builds on quiet U.S.-Armenia deals starting under Vance, the real-time data on Iranian border movements, which is why you started seeing us track things in and out of the insecurity flows coming in through, the mullah regime remnants using the, Armenia's lack of control over its borders, not Armenian people, just the borders, as to try and circumvent getting restricted stuff to continue to reconstitute their capability and or repress Iranian people. And it very much is leveraged in the MOU talks. So Secretary of State Rubio is using the visit as live pressure. The point is sign the deal on our terms or watch your last friendly neighbor flip. Israel loves it because it keeps the heat on the regime remnants nuking uranium without needing new strikes right now, although because they're still positioning. It's not like strikes are not coming. I'm just saying, or the possibility's gone down. It's like, here's another vector where we can hammer the shit out of you. So what does it kind of overall mean? It means this isn't just a side trip. This is very much the U.S. and Israeli team expanding the squeeze from the Gulf into the Caucasus, and the regime remnants are losing their last natural kind of neighbor very quickly. As far as the Russian influence, this is the last part that's kind of significant. So Russia, as the Putin's criminalized
Jeffrey, before you
counterintelligence.
Jeffrey, before
Yeah,
you
go ahead.
continue, people on YouTube are saying they don't understand what you're saying. If you could,
Oh shit.
if you could make it in more in a way that is more understandable, would really be grateful. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm speaking wonkies. Forgive me. So basically, it means we can sit there and Secretary of State Rubio's trip to Armenia is to leverage Armenia's strategic geographic location to economically squeeze the regime remnants, deny them ways to evade sanctions and or get critical material to try and reconstitute their capability, and allows us to position additional intel and strike forces so that now the regime remnants have to worry about getting hit from a couple other different directions. Is that kind of concise enough?
That
the
is
best I could
much
do.
better. I think that was so much better. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeffrey. Not all of
No,
us
no,
are
it's okay.
like.
Thank you.
Yes. I hope you don't mind me telling you that, because you're so
No,
much
it's
more
okay.
knowledgeable. So we need to bring it down to our level so that we could learn from you.
It's my
okay?
failing, Armin. You very much cover my dead space. Thank you.
No.
I mean that.
No,
So,
thank you.
what does it mean regarding Russian influence? I'll just do a quick overview there instead of going through and making people's eyes gloss over with wonkies. It's so you have the election meddling card, right? It's clear that Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state is, they're just slamming Secretary of State Rubio's visit today as another attempt to hurt Russia, well, or the Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, and it is. So Russian influence is real. That said, we're trying to set it up so it's waning and reactive. They're like the Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state is playing a spoiler to the TRIPP and the elections, but they're not riding to the mullahs' rescue. And even if they do, this locks off one of the ways that Putin can help support or continue to support the regime remnants. It's exactly why the remnants are doubling down on tough talk as their the kind of like, I don't want to say an ally because it's an insult to Armenians. One of the last avenues that they can get illicit goods into Iran is being squeezed out. So this is actually very good on all fronts, particularly when it comes to taking down the mullah regime remnants, liberating Iran, and denying the regime remnants different approaches to get resources to attack U.S., Israeli, or Gulf states allies, as well as repress Iranian people. You should be happy about this.
Yeah, I mean, we're happy that Marco Rubio is there, but Jeffrey, the elections after June 7, there's a huge chance that Russia is going to have an ally that's bordering Iran. So that's going to be actually bad, in my opinion. Yeah.
Totally agree with that. That's why Rubio's going there to try and make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but also a lot of people in Armenia are now saying that a foreign country, meaning Armenia, USA, is trying to interfere in our elections. So they're becoming more pro-Russia. So there's a more chance now that they will actually vote in this pro-Russia person. But I hope that they will, we don't know what they're going to talk about. That will be tomorrow. But I hope there's going to be conversations there to ensure, I guess, to keep the alliance with the Islamic Republic under control, if that makes sense. Anyway, sorry, it wasn't my turn.
Oh, don't worry. Technically, the whole thing is your turn, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Also,
you're a mod. You're a mod. Mods don't need to wait for turns if they want to add something. Yeah. Okay, go.
Noah, go ahead.
Thanks. So I find it interesting because Armenia and Azerbaijan just concluded. Of course, those of us who have watched over the years the Nagorno-Karabakh, and forgive me if I pronounce it wrong, Nari, the conflict that just ended and Azerbaijan basically took over. And then President Trump last year did a peace deal, which part of that peace deal includes, and I know, and I am going to butcher this, the Zagros corridor. Again, forgive me if I...
Zangezur corridor.
Yeah, forgive me if I butchered it. But yeah, that corridor will be part of it links the other part of Azerbaijan that's not connected to it. And that route will be part of Armenia, but the United States has exclusive rights to develop it for 99 years. And that has, that makes the Islamic Republic and Russia not happy with this, because this encroaches on them, because now the United States is even closer in all this, and it's crazy. So if we have if there's a pro-Russian PM in Armenia, he might try and stop this. The problem is that Armenia, I mean, with that recent war, shows that it is extremely weak. So, I mean, Azerbaijan can be like, hey, look, we just kicked you blank, blank, blank. You really want to go through over this again? So, I don't know. This will be very interesting to see how this entails. But that's
that we should just be aware of this, because there's a chance after June 7th there's going to be an increased Russian influence in the region directly bordering Iran.
yeah. And that's why that corridor is so important as well. So, yeah.
Okay. Armin, next, your response.
Okay, so here's what I saw, and also read the summary of it, and then the Russian influence thing. Okay, so U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is arriving is already in Yerevan, Armenia, for a high-profile diplomatic visit. This visit marks a crucial step in cementing a major U.S. brokered peace initiative in the South Caucasus, but it also places the US and Armenia in a highly delicate geopolitical balancing act with neighboring Iran. So let's look at this. The centerpiece of Secretary Rubio's visit is the official signing of bilateral documents regarding the TRIPP project, which stands for Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. So this was brokered by the U.S. By Trump. TRIPP is a historic transit corridor agreement designed to finalize peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan following decades of conflict over Nagorno. The English is not Karabakh, right? Is that how you pronounce it in English? Yeah, Nagorno Karabakh.
Well, in Armenian they call it Artsakh, but that's the
Artsakh.
Nagorno Karabakh is the name of the Azerbaijani name.
Okay. Okay, so we should then, yeah, okay. It's okay. I'll try to remember the Armenian way later. Okay, I'm gonna forget though. The project focuses on building a 43-kilometer, that's 27 miles for Americans here, multimodal transport corridor, rail, rolled fiber optics, and pipelines through Armenia's southern Sinuik province, specifically the town of Mekri. It connects mainland Azerbaijan to its coastal what is this? Nakhchivan, I think. Yeah, English is hard to read. And onward to Turkey, U.S. control under the framework. Armenia maintains total sovereignty over the land, but a joint company with a 74% U.S. controlling stake will develop and manage the corridor for up to 99 years. So the Iran part, while the U.S. presents TRIPP as economic crossroads of peace, Iran, meaning the Islamic regime, views it with extreme skepticism and hostility. Rubio's presence to ink this deal directly triggers several Iranian strategic anxieties. So this bypassing Russia and Iran, historically trade and travel between Azerbaijan and its Nakhchivan and Nakhchivan had to pass through Iran's territory. TRIP creates a direct east-west pipeline and transit artery linking Central Asia to Europe via Turkey. this effectively cuts Iran out of the regional trade loop, costing Tehran significant economic leverage and transit fees. By the way, guys, this is a huge problem for us Iranians, because as much as this is bad for the Islamic Republic, this will be also bad for the next Iranian government, this lack of access. So even if the regime is toppled, we have lost access to Europe because of this, right? So let me go to the Russia part that Nara was talking about, because I'm seeing something. Nara, what do you think about this? The June 7th,
I mean, I'm
2026
just
election. Yeah.
Yeah, the Russia part is just general knowledge about the current candidates and the situation of the Armenian society at the moment, like what they're thinking and what they're pushing actively for a pro-Russia prime minister because of the war that
Okay.
happened in 2021.
But the prime minister currently, who's pro-Western, is currently the
Yes.
front runner.
That's what they say, but there's a huge push to
Yes.
elect one of the other ones. So I guess
what
we'll see. I mean, I hope it's going to stay the same way, because they pulled back from Russia since 2018 slowly. And then because of the war that happened in 2021, a lot of people in society started blaming this pullback from Russia, that this war happened and we lost, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So a huge chunk of the society again went to, oh, maybe we should keep alliance with Russia.
Yes, so Russia, as you mentioned, Russia is aggressively backing a heavily funded, openly pro-Russian opposition bloc called Strong Armenia, led by Russian Armenian billionaire Samvel Karapetyan, right? Was that close enough? While a total pro-Russian victory is unlikely, it says, a strong opposition showing could severely fragment Armenian politics. So if the pro-Russian forces somehow pull off a major upset or force a coalition, this would be a death of the Western deals. The US-backed TRIPP peace corridor would likely be frozen or canceled, as Russia opposes American management on its former turf. And then we have Kremlin will have a comeback. It would secure a massive diplomatic victory for Putin, halting Armenia's current pivot towards European Union integration. And then we will have regional instability, meaning that a pro-Russian government would likely take a much more hawkish, aggressive stance against Azerbaijan, risking a renewal of active military conflict in the Caucasus. So based on, I mean, you know more than I, obviously, about this, but based on what it says here, it says like it's unlikely for a total Russian victory based on what's, I mean, we're not far away.
I mean, I hope.
Okay.
I hope.
Okay, we'll see. But thank you for bringing this to our attention, because not that many people are paying attention to this.
Okay. Nari, can I move on, or did you have some closing remarks?
I'm good. I just wanted to add a little awareness to this part of the situation in the area.